Hey everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra here with ASP's Chief Marketing Officer and Director of Training, Neil Widener. And today I want to talk about, because we've had a kerfuffle in the industry, again, about sponsored content and how sponsors, how YouTubers and content creators and what people call influencers, I freaking hate that term, get paid. And whether or not critical reviews or laudable reviews and those kinds of things are legit. So I want you guys to hear from Neil about how we pick sponsors, about the process that we go through, and maybe how that's what we're trying to do is not shame the industry, but bring the standards up a little.
Today's video is brought to you thanks to MagTech Ammunition, the official ammunition supplier for all range activities of active self-protection.
So, you guys know we follow the Federal Trade Commission guidelines that we disclose every sponsorship that we have, right? And of course we do that, we did that before it was the FTC rule,
right.
But it is what it is. So I think that there has been some kerfuffle because there's been some kind of on the down low about who's taking money from who. And of course, whether that's politics, business, personal life, whatever, if there are invested financial relationships, people should know about that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
And so what is, I'm doing this question and answer. I'm the one who's told him to do this, but what is our ethic of sponsors at Active Self-Protection?
The first thing that we look for is it a product that is safe and a quality product and something that we would use or that we would recommend to people that we care about.
This is a big deal, okay? Because I know plenty of folks in the space and we all face financial pressures, right? So I'm not saying that they're greedy or money grubbing, but man, it's hard and you've got to pay your bills. And so when you go, hey, somebody waves money at you, you can go, well, the product's not that bad. So
you can justify pretty easy when you've got a big check in your hand.
So 2020, all the trade shows after SHOT Show got canceled, right? So, but I will say in 2019, we turned down some money, some significant money.
$156,000.
Not that he's keeping score or anything.
Yeah, I'm not paying attention at all.
Why in the world would we turn down $156,000?
Because they were products that I wouldn't recommend to people I care about.
And we wouldn't
I
use
wouldn't
ourselves.
recommend them to people I don't care about, to be frankly. You know what I mean? But I look at this and I'm like, I've got 4 daughters that are hitting their adult age, lifestyle right now, and I'm like, they're all about the self-defense world. For the most part, most of them are, right? Do a little bit of shooting, do a little bit of training, that kind of stuff. Actually, you're going to
see the range monkey here pretty soon.
But I'm like, if this isn't something that I'd be comfortable with my daughter carrying, or my best friend, or somebody that I'm just acquainted with, I'm like, why would I take money for that? I'm going to put somebody in a dangerous position, in a bad place.
And I do think some people, especially if they're content creators, they're YouTubers, they're Instagrammers, whatever, they're not necessarily qualified or really interested in, how high a quality product is this? Because they don't know any better.
Right.
And a lot of them don't know any better. And so they make recommendations. And this is one of the reasons we work so hard at training, at being highly qualified ourselves so we can really evaluate things. And I know you've seen on the channel, I've given negative reviews to products because I look at it, I spend real American money on it, and I go, no, this is garbage.
Yeah, this isn't the right thing.
So I know for a fact, that last year, now this is 2019, that Neil had a check in his hand for $20,000 at SHOT Show. And literally, here, man, we have money for you. Here's this, and we're going to go. And at that time, I needed to pay a $15,000 medical bill for one of my children. They'd had some medical needs. We didn't have any insurance. So I had 15 grand I needed right then. And a bunch of people kind of looked at me sideways and like, dude, are you sure? And I'm like, man, if I don't live out my values, then I don't have them.
Yep.
And so we turned it down. We said, hey, we appreciate you making that offer, but we can't take your money.
It's very difficult to hand that check back. It really was. I'm like, man, this would change everything. But it would also put more people at risk. And I feel like if we can go out and do things in the right way, we will get the rewards in the end. And frankly, we did. We picked up some other new sponsors that helped along the way.
The things go, right?
Yep.
And so some of our sponsors that you will see show up is because of things like, of course, Mantis is our longest sponsor. They were our very first. And you have seen me again and again show you how Mantis can make you better. Now, I'm not saying you have to own one, right? Like we do dry fire stuff that we say you don't gotta own one. But dude, they've made me a lot better shooter. They made you a lot better shooter.
Yeah, it's night and day for me.
And so we go, guys, this is a great product. And so that's why we agreed and said, hey, come and be a sponsor. Our latest sponsor is the Range Tech Timer. We just got a deal going with them. Why? Because I think there's some value here. We just showed that to you on a gear review, and Samuel really loves this timer. And him loving this timer made us really think about it and then start to talk with Jacob and Riley, the owners of Range Tech. Super excited to have them aboard. And kind of everything in between, right? When we talk about, John's carrying an HK. And of course, we're HK's brand ambassador. And people go, well, why are you HK's brand ambassador? Go all the way back to the beginning of Active Self Protection Extra, and you'll see me talk about the VP9 that I carried for a couple years. And that video I made was my introduction to them. So we were spending real American dollars, not shield guns or any of those things, buy our own guns and customize them the way we want. And then HK's like, hey, let's talk about that. And I'm like, yeah, let's talk about that. Why don't we? Same thing here, right? So I've got Palm OC spray on me. Why? Alex and Palm is a sponsor now because this is mean, filthy stuff. We took a case, bought a case off Amazon. Cool, man. Any friends who wants to take the hot sauce for science? You know what I mean? And once we determined, yes, it's a very good product. It does exactly what it says it's going to do, and it's very carryable. And this is one that people can use and carry. Then we decided, okay, let's talk to them as
and it's at
a
a price point that's easy for us to just say, hey, here's one.
Here's $12, whatever, and go from there. And I think that there are some other companies that you go, okay, wait a minute. There are other good companies out there that would be kind of just as good, right? So I don't say HK is amazing and everyone else sucks, right? Because that's stupid, right? So I joke about it like this, okay, so we're not sponsored by any automobile manufacturers. I drive a Ford Mustang GT, right? Why? Because I love my trig. Trigger's bad. He's cool. But if we go, hey, wait a minute, John, Chevy came along and wanted to sponsor Active Self-Protection, and they'd rather you drive a Camaro ZR1 rather than your souped-up Mustang GT. Now, I'd have to think long and hard about that. I got to be honest with you. But it wouldn't be too long of a thing because it might say, really the thing that might back me up is saying I probably couldn't afford to buy a brand new ZR1 right now, and it's
still quality,
right? But there's the thing, they're preference issues here, not quality differences, right? I'm not going to get into the fights about other car companies, but you get my point, right? So we're not talking about those kind of level things. And that's like, for instance, I'm carrying right now, you can just barely see in a Dark Star Gear Orion for my P30, but there's a couple other options that are just as good that are part of the holster consortium.
Exactly.
Too.
There's several holster companies out there that make really good holsters, and we're friends with most of these guys. That's the other thing that we haven't talked about yet is, typically the sponsor has to be somebody that we are comfortable doing business with and that we'd be comfortable having somebody else do business with.
And for us, my value system that has permeated the culture and that, Neil, of course, you embody every day, and probably do it better than I do, quite frankly, is the idea of being heartfelt and value added. And when we talk about heartfelt, value added people, we mean people who they are no matter where they are. That's what it means to be heartfelt, that no matter where they are, whether it's business with us, business with somebody else, in their personal life, in their world, they are, I don't even want to say kind-hearted. They are heartfelt people. So they are people of integrity everywhere they go. And when we say value added, it means that they always they put more on the table than they take off the table, because that's how we want to live, right? So I want to be heartfelt and be the same guy no matter where I am, and I want to be value added. I want to give more than I take. And if a company does all that stuff, then we do business with them. And that's why we can tell the story all the time, but in particular, I will say that without telling the entire story, that there's a reason that Nanook Cases is part of the Active Self-Protection family. And that is that Mark and his team were heartfelt and value-added people. And because they were heartfelt and value-added people, we said, now, great product that we can stand behind, that I've used all over the world, literally all over the world. So that's a sticky wicket you got to go through. And heartfelt value-added people, 100% we want to do business with you. Same thing with people like Wilderness Tactical products, right? Fantastic products that we've used all over the place. In fact, we're both using Wilderness Tactical belts right now. That being the case, okay, great product, but even more than that, incredible people, heartfelt and value added. So now that means, does money change hands? Of course, money's changing hands in the industry, right? That is when you get somebody who is a trusted advisor. Now, okay, an influencer is different than a trusted advisor, right?
Yep.
An influencer is somebody I think of like, with the Kardashians, right? So if somebody wants to be like Kim Kardashian or whatever, and so then they want to look like her, so they buy what she buys.
Yep.
That's an influencer.
And old school, that would be called a salesman.
Yeah, okay, there it is, right?
And we're not salesmen. I don't want to sell products. I want to say, hey, here's the products I use. There are other good ones out here, but you can trust that this is what I use. This is what I protect my family with. This is what I give to my family to protect themselves. So
different world.
You should consider buying this.
For us old people, right? The influencer is the old stuff of I want to be like Mike, right?
Yeah,
so when Gatorade, right, had that thing, I want to be like Mike. Well, wait a minute, Mike drinks Gatorade. I don't even know if he did drink Gatorade, but he was on their ads. I drank Gatorade because I wanted to be like Michael Jordan, right? Who is the GOAT without any question. Spencer Johnson, if you watch this,
just be done.
Michael Jordan. Okay, so, but that's an influencer, right? That's somebody is not necessarily a trusted advisor. You wouldn't go to Jordan and say, hey, Mike, how do I do this layup? Because he's so good. I don't know that he's somebody who's a trusted advisor to teach you how to do that. But I would certainly go to his coach to be a trusted advisor there. So we want to be trusted advisors is what we want to be. And to do that means we have to have trust. So a trusted advisor is trusted. Why are you trusted? Because you're a person of integrity, because you do the things you say you're going to do, because your words have merit and evidence, logic, reason behind them, and that we have your best interests in mind. So I get it. There's skepticism in the industry, and I think there should be.
I think that's completely fair and reasonable that people would look and go, why is this guy talking about this? And frankly, we do gear reviews of the things that we use as sponsors. Yeah. We very rarely sign on a sponsor without using their product for a month at the very least.
Very least.
Sometimes it's 6-7 months.
Yeah.
With some of these things. I think the very first one with Mantis, we used that at a trade show. It was really kind of cool because that was the first thing that we were just kind of buddies at the time. I was
hey, this is neat.
Yeah, and we were playing, and I saw the owner, and I'm like, hey, we should talk about this. But that was the first one that we brought on, and we brought them on without a whole ton of testing.
Yeah.
But we probably had a couple weeks of testing with that, and just immediately you could see how this was really, for my personal shooting, the Mantis was the stepping stone to really getting into this, and I still use it today, years later.
But it also gave us some pause too, because we did move pretty quickly there, and it worked out great. I mean, it turned out to be a great risk, and again, Austin and the entire team at Mantis are incredible, heartfelt, value-added people.
Next level people.
And making a great product. Got new products coming out, more on that later. But
cool stuff.
The other part of that is then it made us kind of pump the brakes a little bit and go, hey, wait a minute, if it's good today, let's thoroughly vet, let's be a little more careful. Not that we had any problems with Mantis, we never have, but it just made us think, there's no reason to rush this. Let's really thoroughly.
And so I think we were fortunate enough in that one, and I think that was a little bit of a God thing to get us hooked up with those guys because it's a quality product, they're quality people. I hope they think we're quality people too.
We've been working together long enough; they know us well.
But we've had some other products where we're like, oh, this looks really cool, and then we get it home and we start messing with it. They're like, it's not that. I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
Where like Palm, we got the products and went and sprayed Friends. And okay,
video's on the channel.
That's legit. This one works. Let's work with these guys. And again, Alex is just a fantastic human being.
Yep.
And one that really that really made me slow down and look at was the New Bold targets. Because we looked at that and we're like, because we met them at a show, and it was the same show that we met Mantis at.
Yeah, it was. And we were like, well, I mean, this looks like an interesting idea.
Interesting. So I went and bought one, and I put about 1,500 rounds through one. And I'm like, okay, this is legit.
All right, wait a minute.
And then I got on the phone with them and reconnected it with Aaron over there, who is amazing. And
and the whole team.
Oh yeah, that whole family. That's a family-owned business.
Right.
That has struggled through COVID and has some really new cool stuff coming too.
Really cool stuff coming, and to heck with you, the state of New Jersey, trying to put a family-run business out of business.
Right,
to heck
come
with
on.
But anyways, so I just want you guys to understand kind of how this works. I don't want to belabor the point, but I want you to see how the money goes in the industry and those kinds of things. So if you have any questions about that, like, wait a minute, how do these kind of come together? And in some places they do affiliate deals. We don't do any of those and those kinds of things. But if you want to know, hit me in the comments and we will answer questions. Bro, appreciate the work you do all the time.
Thanks, bro.